Greetings. It's Tuesday, July 3rd, and it's Golden Speakers Toastmasters night. We're here at the Hy-Vee Club Room, the west side of the Burlington Hy-Vee, and we're here every Tuesday evening, 7:45 till 9:15. I'm going to see if we have any guests. We do have a special guest here. We'll be introducing him later. We also may have some people coming at 8 o'clock because in connection with our special guest speaker tonight, it's a little bit of confusion as to which time we're going to start. So we may get some more people coming in. It is the day before the 4th of July. I've asked everyone to leave your fireworks at the door. So we're not doing fireworks in here, but go have a good weekend other than that. A good 4th tomorrow. I am just going to mention briefly, oh, we do have a guest. Is that right? Sunita, before you get totally comfortable, we do have our guest. Sunita, maybe this is our standard procedure. We're not just picking on you. You could just stand and say your name and what brought you to Toastmasters.
Okay, my name is Sunita, and I came to Toastmasters because I'd seen a post that was put on Facebook today by Veda, and it seemed like quite a person of, bringing in goals and inspiration for others. So I thought, oh, I'll grab him and come around. So that's how I came here.
Okay, we have some guests arrived. Did you feel like you could walk in, Jeffrey? Was it okay? We closed the door, but was it okay to come in? Because we're thinking that we might get some people at 8 o'clock.
I had to pay somebody to come in. Other than that.
Jeffrey, before you sit, we're just introducing our guests. And we may, depending on what happens, we may not be able to do that. But you want to just give your name and what brought you here tonight?
My name is Seth Braun. No, wait.
Well, for real.
Yeah, for real. My name is Jeffrey Hedquist.
And you're here to see Seth.
I am here to see Seth, give him a bad time, embrace him in that special way that all friends do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, nice to have you here. Well, I'm just going to say something quickly about Seth, and then we're going to head right into our meeting. We are going to have regular meeting roles tonight with our Toastmaster Club. Our Toastmaster will be introducing those. But because I personally got to experience Seth during his time here in Toastmasters, I just want to acknowledge how special this is that Seth is here tonight, having come all the way from Dallas, not necessarily to be with us, but taking time out of many places he could be to be here tonight to share with us some of what he's been doing and give us a taste of Seth Braun now. I can tell you, speaking from personal experience, that when he was here in Golden Speakers and he accomplished and achieved a number of officer positions, including the president of our club. He was such a solid contributor to everyone, and we were really pleased that he was able to launch his career with using Toastmasters. We were also very sad when he left because it was a hole when Seth left. We've forgiven him. He's okay, and now he's back, and so we're going to enjoy Seth a little bit later. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and welcome up our Toastmaster for the evening, Janet Everett.
Welcome, Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. We're going to have a great meeting tonight. We're so excited to have Seth here to give us a little extra excitement. I want to introduce our role players tonight. We have Dan as the timer. Would you like to tell us how that's going to go, Dan?
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. My job as timer is to keep track of the speeches that occur during the evening. Our prepared speech tonight is going to be Seth's. He's going to get a green light at 13 minutes. a yellow light at 14 and a red light at 15. You'll have 30 seconds after the red light before we pull him off the stage. But he's a professional. He'll probably make it 29 seconds. Be done. Later we're going to have table topics. Those are 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light's at 1 minute, the yellow at 1 minute 30, the red light at 2 minutes, and again there's 30 seconds to finish up. And then we'll have an evaluator of table topics. We'll probably have to decide how much time the evaluator gets. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
And our grammarian tonight will be Carmen.
So I'm just gonna show the today's word is histrionics. It is the definition play acting insincere and exaggerated emotional behavior, stagey acting or speech. So I have a sentence. After Laura's histrionics, I did not know how much more I could take. So hopefully we are all encouraged to use this in our table topics. So maybe in the speech. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce our odd counter, which will be Veda Royale tonight. Thank you, Veda.
So tonight I have this comprehensive accounting sheet that has 10 categories of things we could make as mistakes in our speech. That being like, you know, so, but, and conflicts, Xeroxing, and false start. And I will give a report at the end.
Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight, Seth Braun. He's an executive coach and trainer at Stain Leadership Academy in Dallas, Texas. Seth is an author of several series of books, a father of 2 girls, and a happy husband to another Fairfield former resident, Anna Victoria. Seth spent 5 years deeply engaged in Golden Speakers Toastmasters and credits Toastmasters as essential to his professional speaking career. Welcome, Seth. And we just hope that Seth doesn't use excessive histrionics.
Yes, good one, good one. The hero's journey. The hero's journey, what a topic. Something that's universal, intrinsic, innate to the human mind. Something that everyone can relate to, that we are born with, that expresses itself through our love of stories, movies, film, and Netflix. Oh, Netflix is so good. It's so good. The hero's journey also describes the path that we take anytime we want to grow into a new phase of life, into a new set of skills, into a creative endeavor, into anything that involves any level of fitness, anything that requires us to step outside of our comfort zone and push ourselves into something new. We're entering into the hero's journey. And so my intention this evening is to talk about 2 topics and share some insights about how you can connect to and achieve things that are important to you. I'm going to talk about things that are important to me, 2 things, speaking and writing. Speaking and writing. I'm going to do that in 2 categories. I'm going to use the space. And when I'm talking about speaking, I'll come out here and talk about speaking. And when I'm talking about writing, I'll come back here and talk about writing. And over here, I'll talk about Toastmasters and how Toastmasters has informed both speaking and writing. And over here, I'll kind of talk about the hero's journey. It's a 4-quadrant model. Because I'm a coach and trainer, I'm always thinking in 4-quadrant models. So this is how we're going to do this tonight. So speaking. I joined Golden Speakers Toastmasters in 2010. Late 2009, early 2010. I actually think it was late 2009. And I began with the intention of becoming a great speaker. I was a good speaker when I joined Toastmasters. And I had the intention of becoming a great speaker. I didn't know much about Toastmasters. But I saw an ad in the paper. It said, Toastmasters, you want to become a better speaker, come to our meeting. I came to the meeting and I was like, wow, these guys really have it together. It's very on point, organized. And I began to work the process. Because I had a vision, I had a goal. I wanted to be a professional speaker. I wanted to be a professional speaker, and I had this idea. I want to get paid $5,000 to show up somewhere and speak. And at that point in my life, I'd been paid to speak. I'd been paid to speak. I got my first speaking gig at 22, and I was paid $150, and I could not believe it. This was 1998. And so it was a lot of money for a 22-year-old in Michigan in 1998 to give a 20-minute talk. And I gave 4 20-minute talks to teenagers, 150 teenagers over 4 weekends. That is the toughest crowd you could ever speak to, because teenagers are no BS. They're like, give it to me straight or don't say anything at all. They'll cut right through. They're not polite. They're not just going to listen to somebody speak. They're going to be like, okay, this is crap. And I gave those talks and I was like, this is amazing. How can I do this again? But it wasn't like there's no real manual on how do you become a professional speaker. People talk about, oh, you're on the speaking circuit. Oh, you're a professional speaker. First of all, there's no professional speaking circuit. There's no book that says, here's the professional speaking circuit. When they say that, when someone says, I'm on the professional speaking circuit, it's more metaphorical than it is real. So I joined Golden Speakers Toastmasters with the intention of being a professional speaker. And it's funny how things work in life. You know, it's like when you set an intention, you're going down one path, and then something that seems like a detour can take you to another path. And as I progressed along this journey, it followed the path from Toastmasters. It was following the path of the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is essentially leaving what you know, leaving the familiar, leaving the world that makes sense, and going into a world that you don't know. So I went out on the hero's journey. Now, I would advise you that if you want to be a professional speaker, one of the tips for success is to get Jeffrey Hedquist to do your introduction on your promotional video, because it'll sound like you are like some celebrity and you can send people your speaking reel and it'll be like, wow, this guy must be professional because the guy introducing him sounds amazing. And Jeffrey did that for me, and thank you. That was one of the best things ever. I mean, what a fantastic experience I had, and I still love to share that promo video from days gone by. And I set out on this journey, and I left my known world, and I entered into the path. I had the call, be a professional speaker, and I listened to everything I could listen to and read everything I could read, and I immersed myself in how to be a professional speaker. And part of developing excellence, mastery, skill is embracing tedium. So this is something I'm almost 100% sure is a key to success. I'm loath to say these days that there's 100% for sure key to any kind of success, because success is so variable and luck plays such a big role, but I can almost guarantee that being willing to embrace boredom and tedium in practice is a key to success. And getting into Toastmasters and going through the process and doing talk after talk after talk and preparing and reviewing and speaking to empty chairs and coming and getting feedback and doing the training and doing the reps and doing the... And I was doing this for about 3 years, 2.5 years, and I said, I'm going to accelerate this thing and I'm going to try to give 300 talks in the year 2012. Because I heard Tony Robbins say that one of the keys to his success is he tried to do 5 events a week when he was on tour at one stage in his career. And that's how he was going to learn to get better. And I was like, okay, cool. That's what I'm going to do, the equivalent number of events. Let me see if I can do this. And I did 200 engagements, 200 speaking engagements that year. So professional bands that are out working hard do, anywhere from 150 to 200 gigs a year, and that's a lot. That's a heavy touring schedule. So 200 gigs was a heavy touring schedule, and I remember I had the best assistant, another Fairfield resident at the time, Ashley Smith, now goes by Ashley Aspentree. She's in Boulder at Naropa University right now studying. And she, word, she was the best. I said, can you book me these gigs? I have these couple gigs booked at some places on the West Coast that that they were getting paid well. Just fill this up with Rotary clubs, and I had this script she could use, and civic clubs, and then whatever you can't get filled, put Toastmasters clubs in. 3 weeks later, I'm like, so what do you got? She's like, well, I booked you at 21 clubs. Whoa, I was not expecting that. And then I showed up for this about 18 days I was on the West Coast between Seattle and Vancouver. And I started giving the talks, and I hadn't realized how strict the border had become. That was something new that I discovered in 2012. As someone who grew up in Michigan, I was like, oh, crossing the Canadian border, this is easy. Not as easy as I thought, but that's an aside. I'm on this tour. I got 18 days to give 21 talks. So I had like a 7-day push, and then a break, and then a 9-day push. And I had a couple days off in between. I was staying with some friends that happened to be ministers, about 2 hours into the Cascade Mountains from Seattle. Very peaceful. And then we're driving to Seattle or driving to Vancouver. And I remember I was deep into the tour in the second round, and I was in a very heavy phase of giving talks, and I had 4 talks that day. 4 talks. They were all at Toastmasters clubs. And I went at 7 a.m. to a corporate Toastmasters club in Seattle. It was Marsh Industries. Then I had a noon club in kind of a hipster part of Seattle. Then I had an afternoon club. And then I had an evening club, an advanced group. And some of these folks I had met at some of the kind of speaker trainings in the Toastmasters world, where some of the people who had won the World Championship of Public Speaking with one of their mentors would do events, and other members of this club had gone with me, Alex Sakea and Ron Kerr, former members. And so I met some of these folks, and I showed up to give a talk. And something happened. Something happened at that talk, and it follows the typical path of the hero's journey. Here's what happened. I've been given a bunch of Toastmasters Club talks, because I'd also been giving competition speeches all over Iowa and in places I travel. I'd give a competition speech, find a Toastmasters Club, give a competition speech to practice, because I was practicing competing. And for the Toastmasters in the room, they know what I'm talking about, because there is an annual event where you compete with your speech. So I was in that process of doing my competition speech. I've been getting a lot of feedback, but something was happening where I was becoming a better speaker than most of the people giving me feedback at that point, because I'd just been giving so many. So a lot of the feedback was like, it wasn't really as helpful anymore, and it was just kind of being polite, thank you for the feedback. And I also had this other thing going on with 4 Toastmasters talks in one day and a lot of accumulated Toastmasters talks, that I was actually reaching my threshold for feedback. It hadn't really occurred to me. And then I showed up at this professional advanced Toastmaster speaker club. And they were just mean. They were just kind of mean. And any time someone prefaces their feedback with, now I don't want you to take this personally, but you know they're giving something that's personal. And it was kind of just pokey, it's kind of jabs. And I got feedback like, don't get ready, stay ready. Oh, you stole that from this speaker teacher because he says it. And I was like, internally, I was like, what the hell? I stole that from Will Smith, not from that guy. What are you doing? And that club, I was just doing a lot of this. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Because I had reached the threshold, unbeknownst to me, outside of my awareness, I had enough. I was like, I don't want to hear your feedback. But I wasn't aware because I was moving so fast. But I remember driving home the 2 hours to the Cascadian Mountains from Seattle feeling just pissed at people in this club. Who the heck do they think? Do they know I'm Seth Braun and that I have been giving talks and I was just wound up? You ever get wound up? You're just like, argh. And then I realized, whoa, this isn't about these people at the club. This is about the hero's journey. Because when we set out on the hero's journey, we go into the unknown. We're going to be faced with trials. It's a typical part. Now, we love to see this in the movie. When Luke Skywalker has to escape in the Millennium Falcon, and they have to they're being shot at, pew pew pew, and everything's missing because stormtroopers can't shoot. We're tested. Anytime we go on the hero's journey, we're tested. So this talk was the point in the hero's journey for me in which I was experiencing dismemberment. Because in the hero's journey, there's always a death or dismemberment scene where you get taken apart and you put back together. There's a death and a rebirth. This is a classic trope of the hero's journey. I was like, oh, I'm getting dismembered. And I was like, then I kind of relaxed. I was like, okay. And I allowed myself to feel myself getting torn apart because the identity that I had was being given the opportunity to put itself back together as a professional speaker. Because I also made a decision on that trip. This is a lot of freaking work, and I'm not going to do this unless someone pays me at least $1,000. And it was no longer like a good idea. Because when I started as a speaker, it was like, oh, it'd be really cool if I could get paid well to be a speaker. It became a visceral experience. It became a visceral experience of going like, I'm just not going to do this. This is my new threshold. Like, I've paid my dues. Like, I got in my body, like, this is just the new reality. And then I no longer felt uncomfortable or odd about, because there's still an inner 12-year-old in me that's like, $100, whoa, that's a lot of money. And so, but I reached this threshold, it was just like, this is a lot of work, and this is my new base. So that was part of the hero's journey. So come back to Toastmasters, I continue practicing, and I'm working at it, and it's like, I got my own business, and I'm going to actually ask, I'm feeling inspired, so I'm going to ask for extra time, because I was given that door.
Yes.
Yes.
We want you, which is great.
Great.
How much time? Just so we can be professional Toastmasters.
Yes.
5, 10?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I'm gonna riff here.
Okay.
So I come back to the Toastmasters Club, and I have this revelation. But just because I have the revelation doesn't mean that all of a sudden, like, big opportunities are just knocking down my door. I'm still trying to figure out how is this going to work? Like, how am I going to become a professional speaker? So I kept putting in the hours, kept making the calls, just dialing for dollars, just picking up the 800-pound phone and dialing, calling, and finally I started booking these gigs, 2,000, 1,500, 1,250. I was like, okay, this is good. But then the way I was running my business wasn't working. my overall business wasn't profitable. So I was here in Fairfield. I'd written a book in Fairfield called Indestructible Success. And Toastmasters had given me the tools. I had the tools. I could do the delivery. I could do the content and delivery part that I learned in Toastmasters. I had the tools, but the vehicle hadn't formed yet. And sometimes in our lives we're like, man, I've got it. I've got the stuff. Why is this not working? What's the vehicle? Where is this happening? And we can feel really frustrated and feel stuck. And I came this close to bankruptcy, and my business, I had to close my business. Here I was. I wrote a book called Indestructible Success that was sitting in a warehouse, and I couldn't sell it, and I had to close my business. And it was tremendous humility. Then a series of synchronicities, and this is part of the hero's journey as well, that when we're on the hero's journey, guides appear. Mentors appear, opportunities appear, and a series of synchronicities that were beautiful that happened right here, where I had a lunch scheduled with someone who worked at the place that I now work, who said, man, I'm done working for somebody else. I want to go strike out on my own. I was like, man, I am done working for myself. I want to work for somebody else for a change. He said, well, you should take my position. And I just so happened to have a call with the owner, founder of that business for a week out to talk about something unrelated. Got on the phone, one thing led to another. Within 2 months, I was hired full-time and was commuting to Dallas. And now we get to the interesting part. So in this position now, I have more demand as a speaker than I can fulfill. People are asking me all the time, can you come and facilitate? Can you come and speak? Can you come and do this training? And most often it's no, I can't. But if you want me to come, it's $10,000. If you want me to fly anywhere. And if it's in Dallas, it's $5,000. So I'm glad to say that over time, I've reached that goal of getting paid $5,000 for speaking engagements. And that's led to another journey. So that hero's journey's come full circle back around to the fulfillment. Went through the death and rebirth, reformed, put in the time, achieved what I wanted to achieve in an unexpected way. To the writing. Speaking and writing Toastmasters, The Hero's Journey. So I wrote a book while I was in Fairfield called Indestructible Success. I ended up selling all my inventory. Someone bought it all. It was this kind of great. And no longer did I have a book called Indestructible Success sitting unsold in a warehouse in Chicago. So that was that's always a nice thing. But I started writing another book in Fairfield called Miniacello and the Knights of Valor. And it's a children's fantasy book, the length of Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter book. And it's a beautiful story. And we're in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign right now. Many people in this room have seen it. About halfway through, and man, it does not look like it's going to get funded. It does not look like I'm going to get the backing I need to pay for the editing and the design and the printing and the shipping and the foreign language consultant and the things that I would need. And that's okay. I'm going to keep pushing on it. But without Toastmasters, I wouldn't have been able to write the book, because Toastmasters isn't just a speaking training, it's a communication training. And the fundamental principles of writing a good speech are the same fundamental principles of writing a good story. Or as Jeffrey knows, or anyone else who does storytelling for a living, a great story follows the same rules, whether you're speaking it, whether you're writing it. So Toastmasters has helped me as a professional speaker, it's helped me as a professional writer. And now I'm on this second hero's journey. And we're all on multiple journeys. But every time we set out to start something new, we engage in the hero's journey. And I'm at that point right now of, I think, the dismemberment and death stage with this particular book. You know, the nervousness and the anxiety that comes with putting something out there. But I'm also more calm than I've ever been as well, because I know that if I just stay the game and follow the path and trust that if I go through these stages of the journey, that it'll come to fruition. So in closing, right here in this club, in 2011, Alex Kay, a former club member, gave a talk with the same title called The Hero's Journey. He talked about the 6 different variations of the basic function of the hero's journey. This club has provided me with the foundation as a professional communicator that I'll have for the rest of my life. Toastmasters is hands down the best personal growth and development program that I've done for my career in my life. It's amazing. And if you want to be a better speaker, communicator, or just grow your career, do Toastmasters. Join Golden Speakers Toastmasters. Don't hesitate. So my intentions today were to talk about something that was universal, archetypal, intrinsic, and innate to the human experience. It's something called the hero's journey, and it's why we love stories. And it's also something that you're going to encounter anytime you want to make your life better. It means leaving what's familiar, stepping into the unknown, having something that transforms you, kind of feels like it's tearing you apart, or some part of you dies so you can be reborn or reconstituted to the next greatest version of yourself. Thank you, Golden Speakers Toastmasters.
That's what I love most.
Wow, that was inspiring. Thank you, Seth. So glad you came. Is it time for the president? Is that what you were saying? No. All right, so it's time for Table Topics Master, Jean Symington Craig.
Thank you, Madam
Table.
Toastmaster. Okay, this is open to everyone who's here. That means you guys, okay? So, and you, it's really great we got some people in here to see Seth. Table Topics is impromptu speaking. So as opposed to having a prepared speech that you've worked on and polished and presented. This is using different muscles. I actually call them muscle groups. This is where someone asks you a question, you have no idea. This is me doing I have no idea what the pitch is going to be. And then I have to read it very quickly, and then I have to make my swing. So this is a different kind of exercise, and it's good for anyone can play. Anyone can play. Seth is going to stay here and as well. So we're kind of working towards having finishing out our regular meeting. Seth is here. We may have to tie him to something so he doesn't leave, but we won't do that. So I'm the Table Topics Master, and I'm going to go ahead and ask for a volunteer. I'm going to start with a Toastmaster first, so guests can see how it's done. Now, if you're sitting in your chair right now and you're starting to feel a little nauseated, like, oh my gosh, this is not what I signed up for, like that, that's okay. That's kind of what Seth was saying. This is where you're starting to feel a little dismembered. Like, this is outside of my comfort zone, but that's okay. Because we've just heard a great speech about how that is okay. And not only is it okay, but it leads to better things. So you just come up here, you just, take a swat at the ball, do your best. What we'll be doing is we'll have these lights. Our cameraman / timer here, Dan Craig, who's doing a wonderful job, will be manning the lights. And the main thing you want to go for is the green. I always say go for the green, because that means you'll have talked for 1 minute and you're safe. Okay. However, if you're on a roll and you're kind of getting your thoughts going, that's a minute and a half, it'll be yellow. And at 2 minutes, it'll go to red, and then you still have 30 seconds to wrap it up. So you keep an eye on that light, and there's one more piece, and that is the 30 seconds that you have after I give you the question, just like in real life. If someone asks you a question, you don't have to immediately pop something out, like the person who asked the question is gonna think you're, you know, an idiot for not answering like right away. You're allowed to think a little bit about it, and that's what we want you to do also in the table topic. So you have up to 30 seconds to think just a little bit about it. How do you want to open? What's your main area going to be? And then how do you want to close it? And it's a tip is if you can in your closing reference back to how your opening was, that's a kind of like a nice little wrap. I like it's a picture, it's just a gift with a wrap on it. That's a great, you know, they do it in the movies, right? It's a wrap. All right. Okay. So I think the guests are looking a little less calmed down. You know, colors returning to the face and everything. So we'll just go ahead and start with, I'd like to have one of our golden speakers start. Yeah, I'm going to pick I'm going to pick Hudaifa. Okay, Hudaifa. Hudaifa got voluntold. That's just what happened. That's just what happened there. Okay. Okay, now I'm trying to stick with the themes of tonight, which was hero, and then also journey or quest. Okay, so I'm trying to stick within that. Okay. Who has been a hero for you in your life? Tell us about him or her and why he or she is one of your heroes.
Any kind of heroes? Cartoon,
Heroes in
movies,
your
any
life.
type of-
Hero in your life.
Okay.
Okay, and you're good?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Normally we shake, but we have we have cultures here, so thank you. Okay, we can clap.
Hello Toastmasters, our guests and viewers at home. The default answer for this question is my father. But for me it's little far. It's my grandmother. She has passed away maybe 25 years ago, 1993. But her story inspired me. I was maybe 10 years, 11 years when she passed away, but my grandfather, my grandfather passed away in 1959, and he left 3 children and 3 sons and 4 daughters. To his wife. She was about 27 years at that time when she had 7 children and she has to work with them more. We're talking about Jordan in 1958 or 59, where there is no structured government yet, there is no social security, there is no all these things. So she had to follow the culture and get married from another one and leave her children, or she has to fight for them. This is what she chose. She fought for her children. One of them was my mother. By the way, my mother was the eldest, or my mother and one of my aunts were eldest, so they did not enter the school when their parent was alive, but the rest of children has an opportunity to enter the school when their parent or their father passed away. because of their mother, she fought to make them better than her or their parents. Thank you.
And I forgot that Hy-Vee is our table topics evaluator. We evaluate everything that moves in this room, just about. So that was very well done. You don't have to evaluate yourself, but from here on out, and we might need another evaluator depending on how we're going. Yeah, would you want to do an evaluation?
Sure.
Just like a fill in. What we'll do is we'll alternate. So we'll still have Hy-Vee do the next one. But if you feel like you want to
just let me know.
fun for that, okay. That's how you do it. Do I have any volunteers? Oh, look, I got.
There you go.
Whoa.
Nice.
I mean, this was almost like a
All right.
photo. All right, I'm going to start here first. Gentlemen, why don't you come on up?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, what's your name?
Paul.
Paul, nice to meet you. Good, all right. Thank you for stepping up here. All right. Right. All right, Paul. A quest. What would you say, what kind of quest do you currently have going on in your life? You know, changes that you're trying to make to achieve a certain goal? Let me shake hands. All right.
So the light turns green and then yellow and then red.
Yeah,
Is
you,
that right?
you start with no lights, and when
Okay.
it turns green, you're at least
Okay.
safe.
Thank you. Toastmasters, esteemed guests, and viewers at home. My experience around what it means to have a quest in my life is to go through the unknown with very little preparation, with very little certainty. The current quest I have embarked on this year is that of a professional educator. And the challenges of a professional educator for me are many. The unknown factors of, I work with children. So the unknown factors of working with children who maybe have a very low attention span or interest in a particular subject, it becomes a battle of my resilience and for how I can maintain a certain level of authority and compassion and patience. Through it all, I think that my quest has been how to re-enliven what it means to teach and how I'm actually the one who is learning as much as my students. And my parents both being teachers, I feel like it's an appropriate place for me to be. I do feel support there, but the journey is mired with uncertainty. And so for that, I say my quest as an educator is ongoing, and I thank you all for being here tonight and being on your own quest as well. And may your journey lead you to great discoveries in yourself. So thank you.
Awesome. You see that, how he kind of wrapped it up,
Very
and he
nice,
even
very
used terms that would, Okay, I'm not gonna try to evaluate here, but I mean, I get little chills when it's so good. Now, doesn't mean that if you can come up here, if you absolutely bomb or you faint even, we will make sure you get back to your seat.
And we will clap. We will clap.
Yeah, and we'll clap. We'll clap because you came up. That is the main deal. So don't let any of this, stuff put you off. It's just, the joy is in the actual process. Okay, so excellent. So, oh yeah, then we had, is it Matthew?
Yes.
Matthew, why don't you come on up?
Work it.
Yes. Yeah, all right. Okay. Now, a lot of times we let you just pick a number, and I forgot to actually do that because I'm just,
So excited. I think you're excited.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited. All right. Okay. I have one like bogus one in here, so I don't know if I want to do that to you.
I'll take a pinch.
Yeah, no, let's see. So Matthew, if you could take a journey to wherever you wanted, where would you go and why?
Nice.
So I am glad to be here among Toastmasters, and I toast the idea of having good questions and at least having a chance to answer. So if anyone else sees me fall or faint here at home, or even hear about this event and all of these amazing people here, I just know that it's good practice. So a question of where would I go if I had anywhere to go? That is the question. Everyone has that in their heart, in their mind. And so it's okay to give a bogus answer because it's such a universal question. My best bogus answer is Iceland. Yes. And that's because I own a website that's registered in Iceland called Agape. It has to do with love, or it's one of the 3 or 4 words for love in Greek. Eros, agape, koinonia, something like that. And so it's agape.is. There's no website there. But part of the hero's journey is being able to make a pilgrimage to some place of great significance. And in the age of the internet, the only most significant pilgrimage you can make is to where something was registered. So that, if I had to give a really, really good bogus answer to a really, really good question, it would be that there's so much love that I have a website named after love, and that I would go to Iceland so that somehow it would all connect and my journey would be complete. So thank you all.
Get it.
I thought I saw your hand. Why don't you come on up? What's your name?
Robin.
Robin? Nice to meet you. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, do you want straight or bogus?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll be
I wouldn't
nice.
know the difference at this point.
Oh, you'll know this. Okay. In today's world, so we're talking alive, who would you identify as a hero and why? A hero or heroine, and why? In today's world. So you can shake my hand and I'll get out of your way.
It's like lost.
I know. It's a lot to think about.
And how do I know when it starts?
You start whenever you want.
You can start. Thank you first.
Well, thanks for all the speakers that came before me, and thank you Toastmasters for hosting. If I could be a hero, what was the?
It's in today's world.
In today's world.
Who would you identify as a hero? For for you, and why?
So in today's world, I think that we're void of a lot of heroes, and I think heroes, well, they're doing something big and doing something that's hard and against the grain, because if it was easy, then everybody would be doing it, and they wouldn't be seen as a hero. And so if I were to point out a hero today, my mind goes to Elon Musk, because we have so many challenges right now with the planet, with energy, with climate change, and we have to solve a lot of hard problems. And so what I see Elon doing is evoking the imagination of what's possible with going to Mars. Solving a hard problem may give us steps to get to where we're going here, flying this spaceship called Earth. And so it's a big, lofty goal going to Mars. But then also, what are the things what's the trifecta of energy right now that's solving? So we have solar power, we have batteries, we have cars. And with cars, what's awesome is with the grid itself, the grid is unstable. It's 150 years old, and it needs to be rethought, redesigned. With cars, they're mobile batteries, they're mobile distributed generation machines. And if we can tie in solar, batteries, and in a way to integrate into the grid on this distributed way with intelligence and solve these hard problems, there's nobody that I can think of that's putting more of his life force, his vitality, his energy into solving something that is overwhelmingly hard and difficult and inspiring people along the way. And so with that, I would say, if I were to point to a hero today, I think it would be Elon Musk.
Excellent. Okay. Did you bring some ringers with you? Is that what you did?
Just spontaneous co-arising
Wow.
of ringerness.
Ringerness. All right. Okay, so, I'm just feeling a little bit like guest-oriented, but, anyone can, yeah, Janet's going, yes, Janet, okay. So would anyone else like to get up from the guest side of things? I feel like the female persuasion could possibly, okay, come on up. Thank you. Thank you for coming up. What's your name?
Keisha.
Keisha? Okay, great. Have we met before?
We have. I've done this before with the Chamber of Commerce Leadership Group.
Oh, yes, that's where I met you. Such a small, wonderful place. Okay. Keisha, all right. So here we go. A journey can be inward. Tell me or tell us about a journey or quest that you have taken where you changed from who you were to something new.
Okay.
Okay?
Easy peasy.
All right.
Okay, thanks for allowing me to come up and speak and giving me some mental telepathy to come on up here and do it. I'm Keisha and I live here in Fairfield. And a change that went inward that I went through a change for. I would have to say I started gaming back in college, probably in the early 90s, when you had to program in order to game. And there's people on the internet that say, oh, gaming is bad, you spend all your time on the internet, and gaming can hurt your eyes, or thus could be dangerous, or could spark type of destruction with people. But there's a lot of different good aspects of gaming. You meet a lot of people because you either interact with people from all over the world who are also internet gamers. You get to actually learn things. I downloaded and played a Kim Kardashian app and actually learned how to market a lot better with using her macro influencing skills, which she just won an award for. And you actually get great hand-eye coordination. And in a lot of ways, now a lot of professions were inspired by those who actually were good at gaming, like surgery and architectural and design. So something that I changed within myself is to actually admit that I like gaming. Thank you.
All right. I think perhaps, let's see, are you guys trading off? Let's see, was that yours? Was Keisha's yours, or Keisha was Seth? So we're up to you now. How many do you have? 2, and Seth has 2? Okay. I see a couple guests still. Like in this area, I know, you're just feeling like, well, hey, wait a minute, just because I'm a guest, that means I get picked on? I mean, like, you know, there are other people here, right? So guests, are you,
Jeffrey
not wanting me-
Hedquist.
Jeffrey, you want to come up? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, we're down to it.
Okay.
A hero is also another name for a hoagie.
For a what?
A hoagie,
Oh, okay.
Sandwich.
Oh,
or a
right.
sub,
Yes, right,
a sandwich.
right.
This is completely another part of your brain. If you are building your favorite sandwich, please tell us what you are putting on it. You can also tell us about sides that you would have along with it.
So build my favorite sandwich
Tell
and
us
share
what-
that with.
Tell us what's going in it, and if you have time, you can tell us some sides to just round it out, because we're all probably a little hungry. Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
So if I were to build my favorite sandwich, it would be a fantasy sandwich, and it would be made up of some of the favorite foods of some of the people in my life. It may not be edible by the time we're through, but it will be a sandwich made up from my relationships. So the first thought that comes to my mind is my beloved grandmother, who would love to have lutefisk on the sandwich, which would kill at least 90% of it. So we'll leave that off. But my grandfather was Swedish, though. One grandfather was Swedish, who died before I was born. His name was Emil. He was a guy who was angry in not a good way, but he quenched it with a lot of beer. So beer would definitely be served with this sandwich. My other grandfather was German, so we have to have sauerkraut. Now, you don't start with a basis of sauerkraut. And my dad was a bacon maniac. He would have bacon on, you name it, he would have bacon. So there would definitely be bacon, and this is probably not going to end up being a vegan sandwich. My mother made, what did she make that was really good? She made the world's greatest potato salad. Now, I'm not biased, but she made the world's greatest potato salad. And what was good about the potato salad was the combination of mayo and mustard and just a couple of other things. So that definitely would be a condiment on there. Now the next one sounds strange, and this is my grandmother, the same one who would attempt to poison us each year with lutefisk at Christmas time. It was just beautiful. If you're going to do it in the family, that would be the time. But she made pickled herring. Now, she made it in this big ceramic thing. My uncle Yalmer, the J is silent, Yalmer would go out and he would catch herring. And, so it was fresh herring, and she would cut it up and make it in this big vat. And my only experience with that was having it on this Swedish bread, which was hardtack-like stuff. And so I would add that. Now, the interesting thing is I fell in love with her herring, and at some point I went into a store and said, oh, I love it. There's no store that has, pickled herring that would touch anything that she made. So it's enough to turn a person into a vegan immediately. So here's this very strange sandwich, which for me would be enjoyable only because it touched my heart as well as kind of nourished me. But it really is a sandwich, a fantasy sandwich made up of the memories from my family, people that I loved. And so it was definitely a heartwarming sandwich, if not nourishing.
Nice.
Yeah, what is all this handshaking and clapping stuff? You know,
What is all this handshaking and clapping stuff?
Here's the thing, this is what we teach. So thank you, God, was that creative? That was so wonderful.
That was nice.
It didn't really make me hungry, I will say, but it, you know, the heart, the creativity that was involved. The reason why what we're doing here is this is if you imagine this being the helm of the ship, and here's the thing. And this is any kind of audience setting where there's a lectern or there's a stand up here in the front, is that you always wait and hand off here, because just like you wouldn't just walk away from the steering of the ship. So whoever's up here stands here and then hands off to the next person coming up. So we try not to hand off over here as we're all leaving, because ship is unattended. And then of course, so that's just regular Toastmasters, and actually it's good etiquette for learning how to be in front of an audience. And then all the clapping, of course, because if you're not up here speaking, you're supporting speakers. And so we're clapping because, you know, doesn't it feel good? Everyone who's been up here, when everybody's clapping for you, I mean, geez, that really helps. And that makes you want to come back up here again, which is the whole goal. Okay. Sunita, I didn't know if you wanted to come up, if you sort of were trying to hide behind Seth in some way, or
Do you have more questions?
Well, I might recycle one actually.
Oh dear. Well, I don't mind getting up. I mean, if this is a
You
practice,
won't know.
this is cool.
You won't know what it is. So
Yeah.
it's.
Well, I didn't know I was even coming to Toastmasters tonight, but I always wanted to come. Okay, so thank you all of you for letting me come up, because I always wanted to be at Toastmasters, but I came to listen to him too, and everybody's been wonderful.
All
So
right. Okay. So
there we go.
So just think about it for 30 seconds, and then watch for the green light.
30 seconds.
Okay. I'll give you sort of a simple one. So, in today's world, we'll go back to that one. In today's world today, out and about, who would you identify as a hero, and why? Just think up to. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so in this world, we would look at hero. It comes to mind what this journey in Fairfield is here to teach us, is that there's the hero within. It comes from the exterior world, it goes within us, and then we have to come back and recycle that exterior world again as we bring the Avatara back out to the world for healing. We're all in that space. So the hero would be Divine Mother. You could call him Allah, Jesus, Cristo. We could sing a bunch of songs about that, couldn't we? Because it's really in the divine, the real world that we are, that flow of love that is within us, that is in this world of the Maya, or you might want to call it illusion. Thank God we have opposites, or we wouldn't get to have so much fun, or, and sorrow, and healing, and renewal. So I want to thank all of those gods within us for being alive and well, and finding a way to help all of us find truth, beauty, and love together. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up. All right, very good. Okay, gotten a little bit into the evening, so we want to get right into our evaluations. You started, right? Okay, so let's get Hudaifa.
Three.
Okay, we can do normal evaluations. Okay, so 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Oh. you.
Welcome back. Fellow Toastmasters and honor guests, especially evaluating 3, Paul, Sunita, and Jeffrey. Paul, I'll start with you. You have Paul.
Oh,
I'm still. You have spent about 20 to 30 seconds to think about the answer, which is good, so you don't have to be in a rush. And you asked about the rules, which is good also, before you go ahead. And started with greeting audience. Your answer was clear about kissed as an educated, and started with go to unknown and you finally wrapped up everything with one statement, which is we practice here. I don't know if you practiced before or not, but it looks like practiced, or you have an experience with speeches. Then we have Sunita. Your question was about identifying a hero on these days. Also, you have spent about 20 seconds to think about the answer. You started with greeting audience. Your answer was amazing. You was thinking about something different about any other. You was thinking about climate changes, which is for many people is not related to the heroes but you have related or linked that with people that work to find alternative energy resources to save this planet. I thank you for that also. And finally, for Jeffrey, question about building your favorite sandwich. I would rather if you started with the introduction of we want to hear that introduction that you did 10 years ago or
5 years ago.
5 years ago, so that inspired him or still remember that moment. But you also used the 20 or 30 seconds to think about the answer. You started with greeting the audience. I do not know all these ingredients of sandwiches. I never tried that bacon or beer or what. But potatoes salad looks interesting. And you finally linked all these things or wrapped all these things with one word, which is warm sandwich. Warm not because it's in the toast, or it's because it's related to all your memories or loved people. Finally, I have one suggestion for all of you. Usually we give suggestion or find weakness, but for our guests we have one suggestion. Is let's see you next Tuesday and Tuesday after Tuesday.
Nice.
And we have good offer now for new members. You will not have to pay in full. So let's meet next Tuesday. If you need any further information, just ask Dan after the meeting. And thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
I'm so
About a year.
I'm so trained. I know. I still am always reading. In Jordan, the genders do not mix in terms of handshaking. That's what it is. So I'm practically chasing him a lot of times. And
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
like going, hey, just remember. Okay. All right. So Seth, would you like to come up and
Yes.
evaluate our other half?
I would.
All right.
Although I need to be reminded, because I took evaluations, who am I evaluating? I got confused during
Oh,
Rudifus.
okay, so other than Robbie, Jeff, and Paul, who else spoke?
Matthew,
Matthew,
Keisha,
Keisha, and Sunita. Okay.
So Matthew, friendly introduction, provided context, a lot of metaphor. You got deep. You went into the land of web domains and Greek words for love and Iceland and all of those things where I was vastly intrigued by. I want to go to Iceland with you, even if it's metaphorical. It sounds like fun. Let's go to Iceland together. Though you related to the viewers, the only thing that I might do different is to, and this is a general good suggestion. It was just sweet. The whole thing was kind of sweet and lovely. Is to just do some contrast, to get a little intensity in there. It can be like a little aggression or something, just to kind of mix it up, because then it makes the sweetness even more sweet. Okay, so Sunita. I think that the piece that was clear from your expression here was about the divine. It was like, and many names for the divine and many expressions of the divine and love, and like you were kind of bringing vastness into a couple minutes and sharing it, and sharing the experience of likely a great deal of interior exploration that you're articulating out. However, I think the thing that I would work on as a professional speaker is there might be people who don't know what some of those terms mean. And so to sometimes be aware of how to broadcast some of those things, meet people where they're at. The presence, though, is what we'll remember, and the presence was just,
Oh,
thank you. Matthew, Sunita, and
Keisha.
Keisha. Ah, yes. Connected right out of the gate. Connected with everybody and really establish yourself up here. And one of the things that you notice with speakers who make an impact on you is they really connect and establish themselves. And you did that really well. And then you went into you had some very sophisticated skills, because you were like, here are the things that people think are the problems with gaming, and here's what's actually the benefits. So you did a nice, like, you got our objections, then you brought us into what's great about it, and then you kind of did this thing of being vulnerable. Like I'm admitting that I like gaming, and that also is compelling for a speaker. It's something personal to you. You know, only thing that I might do different is do some hand gesturing. This is a simple technique you can do. People get invited in when you do this. People are like, oh, yes. Oh, wait, I think I want to listen to more what this person's saying. But it was very, very lovely. Surgery, architecture, a lot of things that gaming helps with. And that is my time. Thank you very much.
Why don't you call up our general evaluator?
I'm going to call up our general evaluator. Don't know who that is.
That is Veda, right there.
Veda, come on down. You're the general evaluator. Thank you.
Great, so having been called to task at a late date, I will try to get all of this roll correct.
I know, I went too far.
However, I would like a report on whom qualified for the topic so we could vote on. We're not going to vote tonight. Okay, so we are going to not vote, but I believe that almost everybody was within time, except for possibly Jeffrey.
That's right.
But Jeffrey's was so intensely interesting, I didn't want him to stop with the red light.
Yeah.
And I, for one, know what lutefisk is. It's a very nasty fish. That's an ancient way of preserving fish, but we don't subject ourselves to that so much these days. So what I will be asking for is the reports. The first will be the timer's report. Could you please come up, Dan?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. Who left that red light on? I didn't get all the times of table topics. I was marking down if people came within the time, and everybody did. I noted a few outliers. Jeffrey was 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Robbie and Hudaifa were close to 2:30, which would have been the drop-dead cutoff. Samita was almost 1 minute exactly. She just made it over the edge. With our evaluators, Hudaifa ran 4 minutes and 18 seconds, a little too long. Seth remembered his Toastmasters training and came in at 3 minutes 23 seconds. Good job. That's my report.
Are we going to omit also voting for the best evaluator?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes my job a lot easier. The next report will be Carmen for the grammarian. You can either do it in place or you can come up here. It's your choice, Carmen.
Well, I was spending a lot of time writing down my today's word, histrionics, and I didn't even listen it from everyone. So I put even colors, 2 colors, my sentence. Spending so much time doing this one, but nobody, okay, it doesn't matter. I have a couple of good phrases for every single one of you. So said, it was well articulated, grammar, funny, a little bit longer, but it was okay. I like the phrase that you say, I got decided to get $5,000 for my speech. Me too. Jeffrey. Fantasy sandwich made up of relationships. I like that phrase. I don't know if I could make that sandwich by myself, but it's okay, it's really good. Hudaifa, my grandmother has had 7 children. Oh my gosh, that one is unbelievable.
Oh, my mother has 11.
Oh, 11?
Wow.
Oh, it's even more unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, Paul, I am naturally the one who's learning as much as the children. I really like that phrase. And I think you really feel like you are learning a lot. So I really like it. That's good. Matthew. And well, because you have a website that it was made in Iceland, you're gonna go there, which is pretty nice because I heard so many good news about Iceland. It was perfect. I think it's gonna be the perfect place to have a vacation. Really like that. Robbie, Elon Musk. I like Elon Musk because he has crazy ideas. He wants to go to Mars. There are already people that wants to go to Mars, or they are already there, and I don't know whether it has been in dreams or whatever. But it was a good talk. You really liked it. It was really good. Kicha. I really like your style. When you come here, you are so confident, and at the same time, you are so like you have a kind of inspiration to just talk, and I really like it. So even though you are gaming, you express that there is a positive aspect, and I really believe it, because some people, and I don't want to say this one, but some people get pretty good at manual work when they are doing things. So, but it's okay. The online, the internet is giving that chance. You did it in the 80s, I think, something like that. And so it was pretty good. And Sunita, when you talk about the divine and healing and renewal, it was pretty impressive to me. It was like you were kind of transmitting the energy to all the room, which is, I think, is really good. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Next comes the odd counter, which is myself.
Maybe we'll get, since I blew it and got everybody up there, so we're gonna just try to wrap here.
You say, I'll cut the odd
No,
counter.
you read through, but I'm putting time pressure on it. and
I'm going to do this very quickly. Seth had, in his first speech, excellent, only 2 ahs or ums. However, he had 10 likes, 10 ands, 10 tongue clicks. Jean in her role had about 15 ahs and ums and assorted other things. Paul and Matthew, Keisha, and Jeffrey only had 1 of assorted things. They did really well, except Robbie and Keisha did about 4 ums. Sunita just did 1 so and 3 ands. Hudayf in his role did about 4 ums. Seth in his role did more ahs, about 5. He also did some likes and some tongue clicks. Dan was clean. Hudayfa in his table topic was clean. And Carmen did about 15 ums. That's my report for the counter. And for the evaluation of the meeting, I would say this is a incredible, fantastic meeting that we've had tonight. I've never seen so many guests so enthusiastically participate. And I noticed Jean was nervously trying to warn everybody it was okay to be nervous or afraid, and it was almost like you couldn't hold them back. It was the opposite. So her fear was a little bit histrionic.
Yes. Get it.
Thank you.
With that, I will hand control back to the joke master and Toastmaster, Janet.
Just of time, we'll skip the joke tonight. It's a great meeting. Thank you, everyone. I'll call up our president.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we're finishing on time. I hope everyone had a good time with table topics, talking to Seth, having Seth talk to us. We're gonna break. Seth is here if you want to touch base with him, those of you that came really to see him. Well, also, Dan Craig is our Vice President of Membership. If you have just some questions.
Sign up.
Questions, yep, there's Seth, sign up. Dan can help you with that. And you are, of course, invited back here next week if you'd like to come again and be a guest. So we'd love to have you. All right, we'll do this parliamentary. Dan's going, no, don't do parliamentary. Okay. All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming.